All right, this is Temtem.
Temtem.
That's it. It's the Thames.
I assumed there was an
It's-
S on it because we always say Temtems, but it is actually just Temtem.
Well, there are
Okay.
lots of Temtems.
Well, I'm pretty sure that
but-
Temtems is the plural of Temtem, whereas, like, with Pokemon, the plural of Pokemon is Pokemon, not Pokemons. But I believe Temtems is correct, so...
Yeah, to go right into it, this is a, like, the most brazen Pokemon clone on the planet.
Yeah, I've heard people, like, defending that aspect of it and being like, it's not a Pokemon clone, it has its own unique stuff going on, and I'm like, and yes, it does.
But that
It
doesn't
has a
make
lot
it
of
not a
unique stuff,
Pokemon
yeah.
clone.
Yeah.
Exactly, it is a Pokemon clone, now come on.
Yeah.
It's a Pokemon clone in the same way that oh crap, what was that? It was like Outward or something. It's a Monster Hunter clone. What was that game's
Dauntless,
name?
Dauntless,
thank
and
you.
no, it's probably even closer than that one was.
Yeah, honestly.
I feel like
Um,
Dauntless was closer to like, well, whatever. So anyway, Temtem.
Yeah. So this...
If
You
you
know,
hadn't noticed so far, we're in a co-op battle.
Yeah.
That is mine
That's-
and Dawson's character, so we're playing together right now.
That's like the biggest takeaway of Temtem from Pokemon. Every single battle is a double battle. And if you're in a double battle alone, then you just use 2 of your own Pokemon, or you can co-op battle every single battle in the game with a friend. Each of you only getting one or you get half of your party for the battle.
Yeah, which is kind of
also-
weird. So you get like 6 Temtems, and then 3 of them are ones you can switch to in battle, which is kind of odd.
Yeah, only the first 3.
What were you gonna say, Thel?
Another thing that seems to be different about Temtem than Pokemon is, it's like sort of an MMO, right? It's like you constantly see people running around. Like I saw that. In the
Oh
old
yeah,
one a
all
little
of
bit.
the time. There's all kinds of people running around.
It's not
Um,
even instanced like you might expect with some games like this. It is just straight up an MMO. There's not a ton of interaction
It's
between
sort of
players.
instanced. It's like hidden channels, kind of. Like you're not
Oh,
always
yeah.
on the same channel, if you will. But
Right, but it's not like you leave the town and then you don't see anyone. You'll see
Yeah.
people constantly just randomly about.
and you could, in theory, I mean, Sane and I haven't engaged with this, but I imagine people at the end game might do this all the time. You could, in theory, just go walk up to a dude and be like, "Hey, want to have a battle?"
Except
Straight up, like. you
Except
just
there's
do
no
that.
voice chat, or there's no
Yeah.
voice or text chat. So the way that you would have to do that is to put the "Let's Battle" symbol above your head, and then
Yeah.
and then hope someone right clicks you, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm
It's
sure
weird
that
to me
there's. I'm
there
sure
isn't
that there's systems in the game
text
that,
chat.
you know,
I feel like text chat would improve Pokemon greatly.
I feel like
Yeah,
it's like
I
the
agree.
most basic thing, but I think probably what's happening there is maybe they want to keep text chat out of a game where
That's meant for like super kids.
yeah, kind of like
Yeah,
Nintendo,
super
and then they're
kids.
just kind of expecting anyone who actually cares about that sort of thing to just be on the official Discord.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough.
I-
If you're going
I-
to be toxic, go talk shit in the Discord.
Yeah, I have
Now-
a feeling that's what it might be, but I don't know. I would prefer them to add text chat at some point, personally.
I kind of want to talk about like some of the bigger differences from Pokemon. One of the main things is that each move, first off, there's no random number generation at all. There are no mechanics. I mean, other than which Pokemon spawn for. Sorry, which Temtem spawn for you.
Yeah,
The-
like
there's
random
no
encounters. There's that.
Yeah.
Alright.
You won't. There is no mischance. There is no. You sleep for 1 to 5 turns.
Poison is
nothing
set
like
for a
that.
number of turns. It's like it tells you how many turns. So it's like this will poison for 3 turns and stuff like that.
Right.
Instead of being
Yeah.
like every turn you randomly have a chance to be unpoisoned.
Now, in order to balance out stronger moves, instead of having a mischance, that means you could either hit or miss, and like it's basically down to luck whether you one-hit KO them or not. They have a secondary bar under your HP. You can see it. It's your stamina bar, and all of the moves in the game cost a certain amount of stamina. You only get a certain amount of stamina back per turn, So sometimes you might have to wait and not do anything, or you might have to swap out Pokemon or Temtems. I always do that if your stamina bar gets too low. But
Is that not how
you
it
know,
worked in Pokemon?
no,
no,
it-
you would have a
well, in
resource that
Pokemon-
was called PP.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Each move had a set number of uses before you could not use them again.
Yeah, that's what it was.
But
This
Pokemon
one-
also had a chance.
This
to
one
miss.
balances it in
Yeah.
two ways. It has a stamina cost, and it also has like certain attacks you can't use on the first turn.
Ah, yes, I forgot about that mechanic. Like, you have to wait until the second or third turn. Even if you
Depending on the
swap in on the second turn, like, the Temtem doesn't have to be out for that number of turns. You can swap in, and on the second turn, you'll be able to use it. Like, you can see, you'll probably be able to see it next turn on this particular footage. My Smazy there has a move that takes 2
Well,
turns.
I wouldn't be able to see it though.
Oh, shit. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you're
Oh, well.
seeing this from my perspective, not from Dawson's.
Right.
Even though it looks very similar. It's just on mine.
Yeah, just the different character.
One thing is though that I think this guy has one actually though.
Oh, yeah.
But once you use it, it goes on cooldown, so you have to wait like another 2 turns for it to be available again.
I'm glad
So
that
basically
both
you can't
Temtem and Pokemon just added a Badger with big hands now.
Okay,
I
it's
know.
this character is not named Badger, by the way. I have named all of my Temtems.
I have not.
I don't even remember what this guy's called, but I named him Badger.
Badger.
Wow, see.
Yeah, a lot of my Temtem's names were really inspired, like not Metapod there.
Yeah.
You can see that he messed up that. You did the Pokemon sin where you name it after its first evolution and then it evolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another thing. Evolution is a little bit strange in this one.
Oh, I kinda hate this,
Instead of
though.
evolving at a set level, they will evolve a set number of levels after you catch them. So, if you catch something at level 2 and it evolves in 18 levels, it won't evolve until level 20.
And if
If
you
you
catch
catch it
something
at
at
level
level
10,
50, yeah.
Yeah, then it'll be level 38 before it evolves.
Which is a
That could
huge
be like-
bummer.
I
Yeah.
feel like that could be useful if you just want to keep the same fucking Tem.
Well, I mean, you can always just cancel the evolution every time. At least you could in
fair
Pokemon.
enough.
Yeah, I don't actually know. Another thing that we should probably mention is, like, a cool feature of this game is synchronized attacks.
Ah, yeah.
So certain
Synchronized attack.
attacks get bonuses based on who is out with them. So right now you see that little I don't know.
Purple.
Yeah, purple like dart going over to not Metapod. What that is it's saying that like I just used a move that gets a bonus from having a toxic ally with me. And so it does like bonus poison or something.
Fun fact, platypuses in real life are actually venomous.
I knew that.
Why? We'll never know.
Another thing that's
Same
different.
reason anything is.
Another thing that's different is there's fewer types and the types are different. Kind of annoyingly so. Like there's a nature type instead of a grass type.
And it doesn't have any interaction with water. Like, they're such similar types, and yet they
like
And yet they
mesh.
don't have like the same weaknesses and
Yeah.
sometimes they do. Like fire is still
Sometimes they
weak
do,
to
which
water.
Makes it worse.
Fire is sometimes weak to water, but water is actually I think water is weak against
Well, I'm pretty sure
grass
water and
in
ice
nature,
have been
but-
merged into one type too. So like,
yeah.
you have an ice move, and it'll actually be good against fire, which still makes sense. But
Yeah,
it's
and
not
then
what
there's
you're
like
used to.
and then there's like wind, which is not the same as flying. So there's a bunch of things that you might expect like, oh, flying should be good against this, but it's not. and then like
Yeah.
and then like flying
It's
is
just-
weak to lightning and it's like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, but it's not strong against melee, which is instead of fighting. And then lightning is strong against mental type, which is not psychic type. And don't even get me started on digital type.
Yeah, there's a digital type, a toxic type, which I mean you I don't know. And then a crystal type. That's the other one. That's what Badger is.
Yeah, and crystal is extra strange.
There's It's a Bee, my Genki.
Yes. This thing is a motherfucker.
This guy is
Because-
probably the best.
They're like, they're like in the first like third of the fucking game, and yet they are also good against everything else that you can catch up to that point.
Yeah.
Like,
And there are
they-
other
they-
Temtems that are
occasionally
weak
wild
against.
ones show up.
Yeah, and there's other
Kick-
Temtems that are basically weak against everything, and it
Yeah.
sucks. And just like out of like coincidentally, oh, here I am catching a pig guy with the Temtem card.
Yeah, so I heard a secret secret
Digipick.
code. If you hold up and A at the
Don't
same
lie
time,
to him. Don't lie to them. This is-
and then once it clicks twice, you have to let go and start holding down instead, and you'll guarantee to catch it 100% of the time.
I
No,
always
no,
I always
here's what we
rapidly
gotta
tapped
do.
A. That's what I
I
do.
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
get it.
that's what I was gonna say. What you gotta do is when you fucking doing the shit, you just gotta go.
Or another thing that I did was I would tap A every time it was like supposed to move. There were a lot of
that's a good one.
there were a lot of
Yeah.
rituals in Pokemon.
Now this only works on the Game Boy Advance, but if you didn't know, the Game Boy Advance actually has like a secret microphone in it. So if you yell, "Get in the fucking ball, you goddamn piece of shit pig," it'll actually hear you and get in the fucking ball.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You can intimidate the Pokemon to stay
Yeah.
in the ball.
So I love that this game lets your Temtems follow you around. I know
Mhm.
that
A couple
at least some
Pokemon
of the
games.
Pokemon games let you do that, but
Pikachu version did.
Yeah.
No, some of the newer ones do it with all of the Pokemon, but
Oh, good, good.
like Let's Go Eevee does, but I don't think Sword and Shield does it?
No, Sword and Shield does not have follower Pokemon.
Okay, so yeah, I don't know why that's like a feature that's sometimes there in Pokemon, but that was
Yeah, it's weird.
that's a feature they have here. There's not a lot of interaction, but it's still
you can
fun
turn
to
around
see.
and pet them.
Yeah, you can
You
like
can pet
turn
the
around and talk
Temtems.
to them, and they like do a little music note at you. But like other than that, there's not really much interaction there. But it is cool to see them always following you around, which is a fun thing. It makes the world feel more alive. And since it's an MMO, you can see other people's Temtems following them around. So
Uh-huh.
you'll see all
And so
sorts of weird ass
Whoa,
Temtems
what's
before
that
they're even
fucking
available.
thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that that is something that I liked about seeing other people's Temtems, and I didn't really rationalize it until you just said that. But that is something that's cool about the MMO aspect of it. You
Yeah.
get kind of a preview of things. It like you said, it makes the world feel a little more alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Like,
does
like
have
that dude was rocking around with a fucking toucan and shit.
Yeah.
It does have a very fucking clearly Pokemon story, though. Like,
Here's
you
the
just got your
Temporium.
first... Yeah, the Temporium, where you go to heal your Temtems and buy stuff. And today was the first day that you get your very own Temtem, but oh, also your rival's getting a Temtem too. And what? He waited until you picked and then picked the one that was strong against you? What an asshole. Anyway, you have to go to the first town and go to Temtem school. And then once you're done with Temtem school, you have to challenge the dojo. Except the dojo leader isn't there, so you gotta go on a quest to get her back. You know, it's...
And then when you beat
I'm sure you can-
when you beat the dojo, she gives you the surfboard.
Yeah, the surfboard, not the surf HM. It's you can see where it's all going. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's just
it's like
Pokemon.
just different enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although one thing I like about this game is the Pokemon cry, or I guess the Temtem cries, are not like weird gibberish like metal sounds. They're like
Mhm.
man, what is the duck thing name again?
Ah, shit. I
Oh,
don't know.
it's a
Saipat.
Saipat, yeah. Saipat just makes fucking duck sounds when it comes out. It's like straight up just makes duck sounds.
Yeah.
I
There
love
are a
it.
couple of platypus Pokemon. There are Temtems too. It's weird.
And then
Um,
this gym is like, this is the most Pokemon gym I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, there's some kind of weird movement puzzle. We also found a sliding ice puzzle later on in this particular play session.
I was
think.
so happy.
I was so mad. I hate those sliding
I
ice
love
puzzles.
slide puzzles
Yeah,
so
I
much.
hate them. They're the worst.
So there is customization features. You get to choose what you look like in the beginning, and then you also like can spend your Tem money on like new hats and clothes and stuff.
Hell yeah, that's all you
hairstyles.
had to say!
Yeah, except it costs so much $10.
It costs
that,
incredible
it's
amounts of
absurd.
money to buy even basic stuff.
Oh no.
And then I was very upset because I got a new a pair of glasses that would sit on my head, but it was like a whole hairstyle, so it replaced my hair.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
pretty stupid.
So keep
But,
that
you
in
know,
mind. If you
sometimes-
buy like weird things that sit on your head, they'll probably replace your hair. Just keep that in
See,
mind.
now we're actually getting into a legitimate fight where we have to use tactics as strategy to overcome our enemies. But what usually happens is the NPCs gang up on me specifically until I'm out of Pokemon, and then Sane has to fight them alone.
Yeah. I don't know
That
why
dragon
either.
looking dude.
We even tried like
They're
swapping
both
places.
looking dudes.
We
One of
even
them's
tried to
unicorn
swap
rhinoceros.
places so that like maybe just the bottom player would be attacked more, but no. It's just
no,
Dawson.
it's just me. I just get focused by the NPCs. I have a face that NPCs hate, I guess.
Here's my Temtem named after our good buddy, Lord Frezon.
Yeah. He was
So-
in the stream and he got his ass named the Temtem after.
Yep.
Yeah, he does that.
Yeah, we've been recording this on...
Thing that he does.
Or we've been playing this on Twitch as well, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, when you actually really get into it, like first off, you can see the enemies are significantly higher level than us, but there's really nowhere for us to grind our Temtems up. Like we're just like, we've got to brute force this first gym so the game opens up to us.
Yeah,
Because-
it's kind of like in red and blue, you kind of hit this point where especially if you had like a bad set of Pokemon, I did it reverse that time. If you have a bad set of Pokemon in the beginning, you have to like grind a lot in Viridian Forest. But this game feels even more like the gap between where the highest level Temtems are and the base level trainers in the gym is like such a wider gap that it's kind of a pain. And that might be partially because we're playing this all in co-op, because one thing to note is Temtems that are out get experience. So what that means is if you're by yourself, you throw out 2 Temtems and both of them get their own experience. But if you're playing in co-op, only the ones that are out at the time get experience. So you sort of get half experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's much slower to grind as well.
Which means if you're trying to keep all of your Temtems at the same level, it means you have to kill like twice as many things to get the same level as one person doing it by themselves. So it's kind of a trade-off for co-op because of that. So something to keep in mind. But all of the battles in the game are like 2 Temtem battles.
Yeah, you're never going to have to split up from your co-op partner if you're playing the lean co-op.
Right.
So, oh shit, I lost my train of thought.
My bad.
No, I just never had it to begin with.
Fair enough.
When you're... This game is so much more strategic than Pokemon, because a lot of times Pokemon, when you're going through, like, the campaign facing the NPCs, even though they have, like, smart AI sometimes, it's very easy. You'll just one-shot all of their Pokemon, and you can swap out. But in this game, it's like, just the fact that there are 2 Temtems makes everything so much more threatening.
Yeah.
That, like, you can't... You have to strategize. Like, it's like this Pigapick, most of his moves are like buffs and debuffs, and like there's one move, my favorite move in the game, it's called Bamboozle, and it's basically barrier, right? There it is, failed due to the effects of Bamboozle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so the
it wastes an enemy
Pigapeck is a
turn.
very supportive type Temtem.
Exactly.
So,
and
but
then when he dies, he deals damage, so...
But because you always have 2 Temtems out, like, you need to be thinking as much about who you have out as who you have with you. So it's like, I really should pull this guy out, because look at him. Yeah, there he goes. So, but one of the challenges if you're playing in co-op is you have to really coordinate with your friend to see what 3 Temtems you have available in any given battle.
Right.
Because
the synergies are very important, like much more important than we were making them seem in this video.
yeah, and it's just a coincidence of us just not having proper guys out.
And you can see here, Sane had to send out both of his Temtems because my Temtem, I'm like, he's gonna get one shot if I send him out. We just send both of yours out. Just send out both of yours. It's fine. At least 2 of your Temtems will get experience instead of none of mine and 1 of yours.
Yeah, all the effects look pretty good. They still sometimes do the thing that Pokemon does where it's like a very generic effect that comes out of their eyeball or something. But because they're, I don't know, they're thinking, it seems like they thought more ahead about what the effects would look like, so they don't come off that way as often. If that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
So,
I do really like the art style. Like, obviously all of the human characters are like, ooh, anime characters, but like, the Temtems, of course, like that's what you're going to be looking at most of the time, and I like a lot of their designs. They don't seem like overly flashy or anything. Like even the like super strong Temtems
are the most boring looking Temtems of all.
Yeah, we've had this conversation on the stream too. Yeah, humans, Temtems, same thing. Just like humans are Pokemon.
Anyway. I wonder what egg group they're a part of. Anyway.
Exactly.
Fire.
The human-like one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like this game. I feel like people have tried to do stuff like this so many times, but this is the first time I've ever seen one actually be like reasonably good.
Yeah. They like really, you can tell that it's a bunch of Smoggin nerds that designed this game, but like in a good way, because the problem with like Smoggin and Pokemon is that it's really not made to be so hyper competitive that you have to ban more than half of the cast, you know? Like, but whereas this, like, it's designed from the ground up for competitive play, and that makes it a fun game just all around because it's balanced and
but
it's
not
difficult, but not
in a bad way. Like, I think this game does a really good job of having a low skill floor while also having a high skill ceiling. So it's really approachable. Oh, and here I ran out of stamina, so I lose a turn. That's what happens, and it also pulls from your health. But anyway, as I was saying, like, it's very approachable in the beginning. You don't feel overwhelmed. You feel like you have control over what's happening. But in the later game, they still have, like, the equivalent of EVs and IVs. They still have different... I guess they're not exactly natures, but it's sort of a similar thing.
Yeah, there's, like, breeding and stuff going on if
Yeah.
you're into Pokemon. They even have shiny hunting, which is they're called Lumas,
Yeah,
which are the alternate colored Temtems.
So they have a lot, like, this game is, you know, as you would expect from a game made from fans, it takes all of the stuff that people like from Temtem, or from Pokemon,
and put it in their own world.
Yeah, it's like they take all of the best things, and then you end up with just, like, all of the best things, and less of the crap, and, like, the beginning is actually challenging. It doesn't feel like they're insulting your intelligence while playing it. And that's one of the biggest problems I've had with Pokemon for the last few games.
I feel like the first gym could have stood to be a little less difficult, but
sure,
you know.
But I
feel
don't
like
even
that's
just mean the
where
gym. I
anime
mean, like,
is.
everything. Like, it feels like you have to strategize. It feels like what Temtems you have out matters. It doesn't feel like you could literally roll up with anything and just make it through the first half of the game without even thinking, like it does in Pokemon. So, for the last few games at least, I like Pokemon, and I've always liked Pokemon, but I've not been able to finish a Pokemon in a few games now, because it's been a lot more difficult for me to get through it, because I've never been interested in the, like, high-end competitive stuff. I wanted to play through the actual Pokemon game, but they lowered the skill floor, but also have no difficulty as well in the mainline Pokemon games, and it's very upsetting to me. So I'm glad that this game
Yeah.
has come out to sort of pull together all of the best parts of Pokemon, I think. Um, and this is an early impressions video. Who knows what it'll turn out later in the game. And this is an early access game, so they're going to be tweaking it and stuff. But, like, I don't know. I feel very positive on this.
Yeah, yeah. Temtem's very good. I've always been in love with Pokemon. I've always been in love with high-end competitive Pokemon too. So like, I really endorse Temtems from like that perspective too. Right?
Yeah, and I think that the fact that Dawson and I, who really approach Pokemon in different ways, are both in agreement with how good it is, like, is kind of a testament to them nailing it, them capturing kind of the best of both worlds.
What
So,
everybody likes about it, yeah.
yeah. So anyway, that's Temtems. Highly recommended. We're gonna, move on. Thanks for joining us. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, join our Discord. We have a link in the description. If you want to support us, join us on Patreon. We'll also have a link to the Steam page in the description as well if you're interested. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys next time, and remember, as always,
Stay beautiful.